My name is Alex. The story I'm about to share might sound unbelievable, but every word is true. I'm telling this story because it changed my life forever, and I believe it has the power to change others as well. From as young as I can remember, I felt different. As a child, I was quiet, sensitive, and often found it difficult to connect with other boys. While they talked about girls, sports, and games, I always felt distant, uncomfortable, and disconnected. By the time I reached my teenage years, these feelings became clearer. I was attracted exclusively to other boys. These feelings confused and terrified me. Growing up in a conservative environment, I had been taught this was unnatural, wrong, even sinful. At school, I faced constant bullying and humiliation from classmates. I spent countless nights alone, feeling isolated and deeply misunderstood. I didn't choose this attraction. It was simply always there. As I grew older, anger and resentment replaced my confusion and fear. I became angry at society, religion, and especially God. I thought, if God made me this way, how could it possibly be wrong? Eventually, exhausted from hiding and ashamed of being dishonest with myself, I embraced the identity society offered me. I came out as openly gay. Initially, this felt liberating. For the first time, I felt accepted. The LGBTQ community welcomed me with open arms. I found friendships, support, and love in ways I'd never experienced. My first relationships brought temporary happiness, a sense of fulfillment, and excitement. But deep down, I still felt emptiness, a quiet but persistent dissatisfaction. I ignored it, convinced by others that this feeling was only society's fault, not mine. As the years went by, I became active in LGBTQ advocacy. I proudly marched in pride parades, attended events, passionately defending my rights and identity. Publicly, I appeared confident and strong. Privately, I struggled with anxiety, depression, and spiritual emptiness that no therapist or relationship could resolve. It felt as if a part of my soul was still searching desperately for something I couldn't identify. Then, one rainy evening, everything changed. I had attended a gathering at a friend's home, and as I drove home alone in the pouring rain, my mind wandered. I reflected deeply on my life and felt a strange sadness that night, sensing something significant was missing from my life. Just then, my car hydroplaned suddenly, spinning out of control. In a moment of terrifying clarity, I saw my life flash before my eyes, realizing I was about to die. The impact was devastating. I heard metal twisting and glass shattering, then everything faded into darkness. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't in pain. Instead, I saw my broken body beneath me, surrounded by flashing lights and emergency personnel frantically working to revive me. I watched, detached, understanding in that moment that I was no longer alive. I had died and was somehow witnessing the scene from above. Almost immediately, I was drawn upwards, leaving the earth behind and entering a place of indescribable beauty and warmth. This new place radiated unconditional love and peace beyond human comprehension. As my soul drifted into this incredible realm, a figure appeared, approaching slowly with profound gentleness and authority. Instantly, my soul recognized him. It was Jesus Christ. Standing in his presence, I felt exposed, yet completely loved. His eyes were kind, compassionate, and filled with profound wisdom. Gently, he addressed me by name, saying, "Alex, I've waited patiently for you." Jesus lovingly showed me moments from my life, not to judge me harshly, but to provide clarity. With patience and compassion, he explained the divine intention behind human sexuality. For the first time, I saw clearly how I had misunderstood intimacy, love, and identity, influenced by culture rather than divine truth. I was overwhelmed by his compassion. He assured me he didn't hate me, but loved me beyond my comprehension. He explained how I had unknowingly accepted an identity shaped more by human desires and experiences than by God's original purpose. My heart broke with remorse, not from condemnation, but from realizing I'd missed the beautiful truth and freedom available to me. As I stood before Jesus, overwhelmed by the sheer purity of his presence, he began to reveal deeper truths. Gently yet firmly, he showed me the essence of human identity as designed by God, explaining with perfect clarity how every individual was created intentionally with purpose, order, and infinite worth. Jesus explained to me, without any harshness, how human sexuality was originally intended as a reflection of divine unity. He patiently illustrated the spiritual significance of relationships, intimacy, and the profound symbolic meaning behind the union of man and woman. He didn't speak with hatred or anger, nor did he shame me. Instead, he offered a deeper understanding, one I'd never previously encountered. In that moment, I knew, undeniably, that the lifestyle I had lived, though sincere, had not reflected the original intention of the God who created me. This revelation wasn't easy. As Jesus spoke, I vividly remembered the emptiness I'd felt throughout my life, even amidst community and acceptance. I finally understood that this emptiness was not because society had rejected me, but because I had unknowingly been living outside of God's intended design. My choices, relationships, and identity, though authentic according to human standards, had disconnected me spiritually from the God who desired only my genuine fulfillment and eternal joy. I remember clearly asking Jesus why, if this was true, I had felt these attractions and emotions from early childhood, attractions that seemed natural and unchosen. With compassionate wisdom, Jesus revealed something profound to me. He showed me that humanity, including our desires and emotions, has been deeply influenced by the fallen nature of our world, a world wounded by sin, separation from God, and confusion about identity. These feelings and desires, he gently explained, were genuine experiences, but they didn't define who I truly was. My true identity, he assured me, was found not in my sexual orientation or desires, but in his eternal love and divine purpose for my life. For the first time, I fully grasped that I was far more than my sexual preferences, emotions, or experiences. Jesus showed me my deeper, eternal identity, rooted not in feelings or societal labels, but in a spiritual truth that transcended human definitions. As Jesus continued, he emphasized repeatedly how deeply he loved me. There was never a moment of condemnation or rejection from him, only love, patience, and grace. I wept openly, overwhelmed by his compassion, and saddened by how misunderstood his message often was back on earth. I saw clearly the misrepresentations and distortions that had shaped my understanding of Christianity, distortions that had kept me distant and skeptical of religion for so long. He then gently assured me that my earthly journey was not yet complete. My purpose, he explained, was now to share this powerful, transforming truth with others who experienced similar struggles, emptiness, or confusion. He told me that his message to humanity was always one of love, redemption, and transformation, not hatred, judgment, or rejection. My life, he promised, would become evidence of the transformative power of his love and truth. Suddenly, I felt myself being gently pulled away from this beautiful place of light, love, and clarity. I began descending back toward earth, returning swiftly into my broken body. I remember vividly the sensation of returning to consciousness, gasping for breath, and opening my eyes to a hospital room filled with shocked and confused doctors, nurses, and family members. They later told me my heart had stopped for several minutes, and I had been clinically dead. My return to life was medically unexplainable, a miracle, as even the doctors reluctantly admitted. Over the next few days, I tried desperately to process everything I had experienced. The doctors called my survival miraculous, but the deeper miracle had taken place in my soul. I found myself completely changed, spiritually and emotionally, by the encounter with Jesus. I knew with absolute certainty that what I'd experienced was genuine, and I could never return to the life I had previously known. When I returned home from the hospital, Friends and community members were initially supportive, but quickly became confused as they saw changes in me. My priorities shifted dramatically. I no longer attended LGBTQ events, pride parades, or advocated for the things I once did passionately. I was quiet, reflective, and deeply changed. Some friends grew concerned, assuming I was traumatized by the accident. Many struggled to understand the profound spiritual transformation I'd experienced, believing instead that I was confused or suffering from emotional distress. Yet within my heart, a remarkable peace steadily grew. For the first time, I felt genuine freedom, no longer driven by emotions, confusion, or emptiness, but guided by a clarity and peace I'd never previously experienced. The transformation was profound and sincere, not something I forced or pretended. Gradually, even my attractions began to change. What I once believed impossible started happening within me naturally and authentically. Over months, my emotional, spiritual, and even physical desires shifted profoundly, aligning more closely with the truth Jesus had revealed. As weeks turned into months, the transformation that began deep within my heart became clearer and undeniable to those around me. Friends and acquaintances were initially skeptical, believing my dramatic change was merely emotional confusion stemming from the trauma of my accident. Yet, over time, even they saw something deeply authentic unfolding within me. I was not confused. I was clearer and more at peace than ever before. One of the most remarkable aspects of this transformation was how naturally and sincerely my desires and attractions changed. Previously, I would have considered such a thing impossible, perhaps even offensive. Society had repeatedly assured me that sexual orientation was fixed, unchangeable, and fundamental to who I was. Yet now, after meeting Jesus, I realized that no aspect of my identity was beyond his transformative love. I began to find myself genuinely attracted to women, not superficially or artificially, but authentically and naturally. This was not something I forced. It unfolded gradually, step by step, as my understanding of love, intimacy, and relationships aligned more closely with God's intended purpose. Initially, it startled even me, as my entire adult life had been defined by same-sex attraction. Yet here I was, deeply and honestly experiencing a fundamental shift that filled my heart with joy, gratitude, and awe. During this time, I sought spiritual guidance, counseling, and community. I knew I needed support from those who would understand and nurture the spiritual journey I was undertaking. I encountered others who had similar experiences, individuals who once identified as gay or lesbian, but had experienced profound transformation through encounters with Jesus. Their stories comforted and reassured me that I wasn't alone. Together, we supported each other, discovering healing from deep emotional wounds, childhood traumas, and misconceptions about our true identities. I learned something crucial through this process, that my attractions and emotions, though real experiences, had often been influenced by deeper wounds and unmet emotional needs from childhood. As I addressed these deeper issues honestly, with prayer and compassionate counseling, I noticed further shifts toward emotional wholeness, inner peace, and spiritual fulfillment. Throughout this transformation, there was never any self-hatred, shame, or suppression. Quite the opposite. Instead, I experienced genuine self-love, freedom, and an overwhelming sense of alignment with my true, intended identity as revealed by God. I understood that my identity was far more than my sexuality or desires. It was anchored deeply in being loved and chosen by God for a purpose greater than myself. Within a year of this profound transformation, my life had changed dramatically in every conceivable way. I openly shared my story, knowing it might inspire or challenge others experiencing confusion, emptiness, or despair. I knew my experience could bring hope, clarity, and truth to many individuals, wrestling silently with questions about identity, sexuality, and spirituality. Of course, this journey wasn't without challenges. Not everyone understood or accepted my testimony. Some friends distanced themselves, feeling betrayed by my story. Some even accused me of promoting harmful ideas, but I persisted, patiently explaining that my story wasn't one of judgment or condemnation. It was one of freedom, hope, and the transformative power of God's love. I knew firsthand the emptiness of my previous life, the quiet despair hidden behind smiles and pride flags. My purpose was not to hurt or judge, but to lovingly invite others into a deeper understanding of truth and spiritual peace. A major turning point came when I met the woman who would eventually become my wife. Our friendship began naturally, comfortably, without pressure or expectation. She knew my story from the start, accepting me without judgment, fully aware of my past struggles and transformation. Our connection quickly grew deeper, rooted in mutual understanding, honesty, and profound spiritual alignment. What astonished me most about our relationship was its depth, sincerity, and genuine emotional and spiritual intimacy, something entirely new to me. Previously, I'd experienced relationships defined by insecurity, temporary satisfaction, and emotional instability. This relationship was profoundly different, stable, spiritually nourishing, and deeply fulfilling on every level. Eventually, our friendship blossomed into a sincere and beautiful romantic relationship. For the first time, I understood the true meaning of the spiritual intimacy Jesus had shown me in my encounter with him. The symbolism, divine purpose, and spiritual harmony in our relationship perfectly mirrored God's original design. I felt nothing short of amazement as our bond deepened, genuinely reflecting the love, unity, and spiritual significance Jesus had revealed. As our relationship progressed toward marriage, we both received support from mentors, counselors, and spiritual leaders who understood our unique story. We committed ourselves to growing spiritually, emotionally, and relationally. On our wedding day, standing at the altar, exchanging vows, I felt an overwhelming gratitude toward God, who had taken my deepest confusion, pain, and emptiness, and transformed it into a beautiful testimony of His grace, redemption, and love. Today, as I reflect back on the journey I've shared with you, my heart is filled with profound gratitude. The transformation I've experienced is far beyond what I imagined was possible. I look back at the young man I once was, confused, proud, yet quietly suffering, and my heart is moved with compassion. I know that many others are walking the same difficult path, feeling isolated, misunderstood, and trapped between society's narratives and their own silent spiritual questions. The reason I've shared my story so openly and vulnerably isn't to judge, condemn, or provoke controversy. My intention is simply this: to offer hope, clarity, and a genuine invitation into a deeper understanding of who we truly are and what we're truly made for. I've lived both sides, deep within the LGBTQ community, fighting passionately for acceptance and rights, and now, on this side of profound spiritual transformation, discovering true identity, genuine intimacy, and lasting fulfillment. Throughout this journey, I've learned many valuable lessons that I now share with humility and sincerity. One of the most important lessons is this: our feelings, emotions, and desires, while genuine experiences, don't necessarily define our truest selves. Human identity, I've discovered, is far deeper and richer than mere sexuality, preferences, or desires. Each of us, without exception, has been created intentionally by a loving God who desires intimate spiritual connection and relationship with us. I also learned the profound truth about freedom. Real freedom isn't found simply in embracing every feeling or desire, nor is it found by suppressing emotions and forcing ourselves into unhappy lives. True freedom, I've discovered, comes only from encountering God's perfect love, a love that gently, compassionately reveals our true purpose, heals our deepest wounds, and sets us free to live authentically according to our Creator's original design. If you're hearing my story today, and you're wrestling with questions about identity, sexuality, purpose, or spiritual truth, my greatest encouragement is to seek God openly, honestly, and humbly. I know firsthand how easily we dismiss spirituality or Christianity because of misunderstandings, past hurts, or judgments from others. But I've experienced the truth directly. God's heart is not one of hatred or condemnation, but love, redemption, and restoration. He desires to heal the deepest parts of your heart, not condemn you. As I've shared my testimony over recent years, many people have asked if I believe my experience is unique, or if transformation like mine is possible for anyone. My honest answer is this: I believe that nothing is impossible with God. I've personally met many others whose stories reflect similar profound changes. Individuals who once identified as gay, lesbian, or bisexual, who've experienced genuine transformation, healing, and freedom through encountering Jesus Christ. Each story is unique, yet all share the same powerful thread of redemption, grace, and healing. Of course, I also acknowledge openly that transformation can be deeply challenging. For some, the changes happen quickly and dramatically. For others, healing unfolds slowly over many years of honest introspection, spiritual growth, and emotional support. For all, the journey is deeply personal, sacred, and meaningful. Regardless of the pace, I've consistently witnessed one thing clearly: those who seek God sincerely and humbly never regret it. Looking back now, I sometimes wonder how different my life would have been if someone had shared this truth with me sooner, compassionately, without judgment or harshness. This is why I feel compelled now to share my experience. I've felt the emptiness, loneliness, and confusion firsthand. I understand the quiet suffering behind confident smiles and proud identities. If my story can offer even a single person hope, clarity, or encouragement, then every struggle, doubt, and tear has been entirely worth it. Today, as I live life with my beautiful wife, experiencing a depth of intimacy, trust, love, and emotional connection I previously believed impossible, I can't help but be amazed at God's power, patience, and kindness. I'm living proof that God doesn't reject us when we're confused, hurting, or lost. Instead, He patiently waits, gently inviting us into healing, truth, and fulfillment. He sees us completely, knows us intimately, and loves us infinitely. Finally, I want to speak directly and sincerely to anyone who's skeptical or angry at my story, or who might accuse me of promoting something harmful or misleading. I want you to know I understand your feelings. I was once skeptical, angry, and even resentful of stories like mine, but what changed everything was encountering Jesus personally. Not religion, not judgment, not condemnation, only Jesus Himself. He changed me through love, compassion, and truth. This isn't about forcing others to change. It's about inviting everyone to experience the transformative love I've encountered firsthand. If you're struggling today, please know you're deeply loved. Not hated, not rejected, but sincerely loved. God's heart toward you is gentle, kind, patient, and compassionate. I encourage you, no matter what you're feeling or facing, to simply ask God sincerely to reveal Himself to you. Approach Him openly, without prejudice or expectation, and allow Him the chance to show you the truth directly. I believe with all my heart that if you do, your life, like mine, will never be the same. Thank you for allowing me to share my story with you today. Wherever you are in your journey, may you find the peace, clarity, and genuine freedom you're searching for. May you encounter the life-changing love, kindness, and power of Jesus Christ, just as I have. God bless you.